So, I've been playing both weekends of the Black Ops 6 beta. I reached maximum player rank, I leveled up a few weapons, and I gotta be honest, when I started playing, I thought the game was alright. Nothing new, nothing innovative, nothing that really stands out, just another Call of Duty. But not the worst one, also not the best one. However, the more I played and the more things I recognized, the more it changed my mind. And right now, I think that this game is an absolute shit show. It had 4 years of development, which was one of the reasons why I thought it might be better than the titles we got in the last few years, but instead, this is what we get. Graphics-wise, it feels like we actually made a step back compared to Modern Warfare 2 and 3. I felt like even Cold War looked better, but correct me if I'm wrong there. There are graphic glitches that allow you to see enemy players through walls and obstacles because you can still see their outline as muddy moving pixels. But then again, there is this pink gas or whatever it is that has such a confusing effect for such a long time that you cannot see anything anymore. So at this point the game takes you the vision, then the concussion effects that you get, even if you are far away from the grenades, are terrible. Honestly, why does it even affect me when I'm so far out of range of the actual area of the grenade? The flashbangs also seem to last a lot longer than they did before. The underbarrel grenade launcher, that I think is for the XM4 or something, is the absolute worst no-skill weapon I've ever seen in any game, and I've been already killed by that thing multiple times in my first match, so I assume it is part of the Vault Edition as a blueprint. And in general, the whole explosive spam feels even worse than it did before, and depending on the map you play, it leaves you with a complete clusterfuck most of the time. Then talking about the maps, at least what we saw from the beta, we only have these small ones that don't leave much space for different playstyles, which was especially hard for me because I love to try out all of the available weapons and not just the SMGs or fast-firing assault rifles, but I felt like I couldn't really effectively use half of the available weapons. On a positive note, the map design in general is alright, it provides enough cover and ways to flank, so nothing really to complain here, but they all feel like they're somewhere between shipment and high-rise in their size, and that was it. And especially for the objective-based modes, I wish there were more bigger maps, especially since we don't get Ground War this year, because the ones we had in the beta gave me the feeling that they were solely made so players can level up their weapons before Warzone drops, but they were not made to be played and enjoyed for a longer period of time. Then there is this awful weapon flinch that makes it so hard to stay on target without your weapon being all over the place, and that is not only annoying when you are in a gunfight and you get shot by the person you are shooting at as well, but it's even worse when you're trying to hit someone and get shot somewhere from the side from a completely different player. It basically feels like the suppression effect we had in Battlefield 1 where your weapon lost most of its accuracy because someone was spraying across the map. I don't mind a bit of flinch on the weapons, and especially for sniper rifles, it's important because it's a counter to the many one-shot sniper rifles. But the way it is right now is just painful. There are 2 stock attachments that help you reduce this, but even with the reduction, it's still too much, at least in my opinion. And it also leads to players only using these 2 attachments because they're absolutely necessary, and you can't even use any of the other stock attachments. And talking about attachments, why do so many of them not have downsides? I thought it was a normal thing. I mean, I do get that it should have a benefit to take the time and level up a weapon, not even talking about how long it takes to level up one single weapon, but I still feel like they should not only have advantages, and they should especially not modify the multipliers of different body zones. When you play a weapon without any attachments, it feels like it doesn't matter if you shoot someone in the head or in their little finger. You need almost the same amount of bullets. But for me personally, as an FPS player, these differences in damage multiplier are a fundamental mechanic, because it definitely is a difference if you just spray and pray or if you have a certain amount of skill and can hit mainly headshots. And this level of skill normally is rewarded with a higher headshot multiplier. But that doesn't seem to be the case on Black Ops 6, at least not without using a specific attachment. Which brings me back to the point that when you want your weapon to have a normal behavior, for example a headshot multiplier that is higher than the body shot multiplier, or a flinch that doesn't make your weapon jump all over the place, you need to sacrifice attachment slots for this, which is something I don't think is okay. The weapon balance is of course also off, and some weapons are a lot better than others, but I think this is something they will adjust before the actual release. Well, hopefully at least. Then it also feels like the mouse input is pretty spongy, which is something I only know this bad from Battlefield 2042. On a more positive note though, the adjustments for controller aim assist definitely feel better than before, not only as a PC player but also as a controller and console player, at least for me personally. They toned it down a bit in close range, which gives you more control over your aim, and for the receiving end it doesn't feel like an aimbot anymore. So probably like a win-win situation. So that's definitely a good change, and I like the return of the best play screen at the end instead of the last kill. The UI also is a lot better than it was in Modern Warfare, but let's be honest, it was hard to make it worse. And what I do like as well, not gonna lie about that, is the movement, new Omni movement. It feels good, fast and fluent, but then again, instead of being able to sprint and dive to eternity and beyond, I would have preferred to see a proper gunplay, because it's a shooter game and not parkour. We also still have these unnormal and frequent spawns right in front of an enemy or right in their line of sight, or if you are lucky you spawn right behind them and can shoot all of them. This has something to do with the small size of the maps as well, which probably makes it harder to find safe spawn locations at any time. But then again, this has been a problem in so many Call of Duty games already, and by now it turned more into a feature than a flaw. Just not a good feature. And what also made me scratch my head was the cringy end screen. This didn't work in Battlefield 2042, it's a pain to look at in XDefiant. Why did they think it was a good idea to add it to Black Ops 6? I can only imagine they did it to sell these end screen emotes that you can have with these weird sound effects, because there is no other explanation for it. What also really annoys me, at least on PC, I know this is different on console, but on PC is that Call of Duty headquarter. The time it takes to finally start the title you want to play is so long. You have to start the headquarter, then make an update for the headquarter and restart it, click on the title you want to play, in this case Black Ops 6 Beta, then the headquarter closes and after a few seconds the game opens, but of course this needs an update as well, so you have to restart this as well. What the fuck? And then lastly, there is of course SBMM, straight out of hell. You have one good game, you'll get punished for it. And not because you get matched with players that are a lot better. You do of course, but that's not even the worst. The worst part is that it feels like the game manipulates your gameplay in such a way that you automatically perform worse. You suddenly spawn right in front of enemies a lot more than usual, you have much worse hit rate than before, up to the point where you can see your bullets hitting the other player, but they won't register. I even got headshot hit markers with a sniper rifle on medium range. I don't know if I pierced their ears or something. You have more packet burst and packet loss than before, which automatically results in you losing more gunfights and so on and so forth. But that's the same every year, so let's just keep it short here. And before anyone says, yeah, but it's a beta, this is gonna be fixed before the release. Let's be honest, we all know that there won't be any significant changes made from now to the final release. There never been any major changes or improvements between the beta and the release in all these years, so I doubt it will happen this time. But of course I'll check the game out again after its full release and see if it is any better. I'm also only talking about the multiplayer here, of course, what we got to experience in the beta, not the campaign or Warzone. We will see how these are at launch. The game also comes to Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass at day one, if you didn't know this, so that's what I'm using as well, and that's also what I would recommend using instead of paying the full price for this game, because it will be dead after a few months anyhow and everyone's only playing Warzone at this point. But what I'm actually wondering, having seen this decline in the gaming industry over the last few years, is how much longer do we want to accept this as players? I can already promise you that Black Ops 6 will be again one of the most purchased and played titles of the year, just like every other Call of Duty. No matter how much people were complaining, this game was always one of the most played of the year. And I feel like Activision and also other publishers can do whatever they like, and we as the players will buy it nonetheless. I mean, games were supposed to be fun and something to look forward to at the end of a long workday or when coming from school, not something to lose your mind over and be frustrated up to the point where you smash your keyboard or controller that you also bought with the same hard-earned money that you spent on the game. Now, in the case of Call of Duty, they might have the benefit of a regrowing player base, because each and every year new 11 and 12-year-olds start playing it and spend their parents' money on it, and they lack the experience with the game and the industry in general. And of course, for everyone else, you could simply say, just play something else if you don't like it. But then again, this franchise is so big and has an impact on so many other games in the gaming industry in general that if this development keeps going, there won't be many games left to enjoy in the near future, because all of them will be a shit show. But that was it for my rant today. If you watched up until now, thanks a lot, you're awesome. And if you still want to write a comment below or even subscribe to the channel, if you're not too mad at me, you're even more awesome. I'll leave it like this. Tell me what you think in the comments below and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye bye!